Welcome one and all to the PSDovito podcast. I'm back to Vito and this is Robert Rage. We are back for our second podcast and this time we're going to be talking about Dan's flavour of wrestling, American. How are you, Dan? Rage, whatever.
I'm all good, but Cole, whatever you want to be called.
Yeah, I will get used to calling you Rage at some point.
Rage or Dan, it's all good. It's all good. So, I suggested talking about Matt Hardy and Bert laughed at me because wrestling is one of our favourite subjects to talk about.
It is, yeah. The thing is, I'm not an American wrestling fan as such. I watch Ring of Honor stuff, Lucha Underground stuff. I don't mind watching bits and pieces of that, PWG and other stuff. But I haven't watched WWE and TNA for a damn long time. Not properly. Dan did make me watch Royal Rumble and WrestleMania.
And SummerSlam.
And SummerSlam.
Although I wasn't there for SummerSlam.
Nah, I watched that because I came home from a party and couldn't bother to go to bed.
He's lying. He wanted to watch Undertaker and Brock Lesnar have a really bad match.
That was the only reason I watched it. Just to see what they did. But that's not what we're talking about, is it, Dan?
No, that's where the conversation can go, isn't it? It's like we start off on one thing and we go in a different direction. It's the beauty of it, really. But yeah, I'm happy to stick with what we was going to talk about.
Alright, 2 seconds then.
Matt Hardy.
So as you can see by the picture, because it's obvious who that is in the picture, and Dan said what he wants to talk about. So my thing to you, Dan, is what do you make of this? What do you make of Matt winning a belt?
Okay. Well, to be completely honest, I feel like Matt Hardy is part of one of the most successful tag teams of all time. There's no denying that, and probably one of the most popular tag teams of all time. But is Matt Hardy a world champion material caliber? There's a certain caliber, to me personally, that a world champion should be, and Matt Hardy doesn't fit that category in the slightest. He's a tag team wrestler, not a singles wrestler, not an IC, not even IC worthy. And the fact that, you know, EC3's reign ended to Matt Hardy is kind of shit, because it basically means that reign meant fuck all. His undefeated streak meant nothing.
But he didn't actually get baked, did he?
I don't know. I haven't actually watched it. I just know Matt won the belt.
Well, at the end, Jeff hit from the read up that I read. Jeff hit some geezer, what's his name, EC3, with the chair, and then I think it was Drew Galloway kicked EC3 out, and then Matt done his finish on Drew Galloway and pinned him. So technically, EC3 still hasn't lost the match.
Okay, right, fair enough. What I said doesn't really mean anything, what I just said, but still, the fact that it's a desperate attempt by TNA to keep the Hardys in TNA because they're going back to WWE anyway. So that was their attempt at keeping the Hardys in TNA, and it's why? If they're going, just let them go. Don't give Matt the world title. It just makes your company look shit. It's almost as bad as when Ken Anderson won it, but I think, to be fair, it was worse when Ken Anderson won it because he actually had it for a little while. At least Matt's not going to defend it.
Yeah, yeah. But don't you think there's you say about standards, don't you think there's a slightly different standard on the TNA title, as you don't actually have to be that good to have the TNA title? I mean, don't get me wrong, there's Austin Aries, Bobby Roode, Eric Young, which are three of the top guys over there, like, in terms of what they can do. But generally, the TNA title has gone through a few shitters, and he's treated like shit at times. Is there not a different standard for that title?
In recent years, it's struggled. Like last sort of 5 years, I think AJ Styles or Austin Aries was the last like worthy champion, and then like Jeff Hardy won it, and then Sting won it, and then that's when it started to go downhill for me personally. Obviously, other fans are going to feel differently about that, but you know, because like Bobby Roode had a massive run with it and done well with the title, and then when he lost it didn't really mean anything. No, he lost it to Austin Aries. I actually done that right, to be fair. But Aries didn't have the belt long enough.
Yeah. That kind of... I never get that at the same time. Like, not so much Bobby Roode does fit that heavyweight main event category, but Austin Aries is and will always be a cruiserweight type. You know, he's never going to fit in that WWE main event, really.
Not at all.
Which is, I guess that's kind of what I talk about, is the standard is like Bubba Ray. He was champion, but realistically, he's still just a mid-carder, a tag team dude, which he never would have been champion in WWE.
No, but to add to that, I feel like Bully Ray was one of the better TNA champions in recent years. They built it up. It wasn't done over a course of a month. It was built up over months and months and months and months, and it was done right. To be fair, with Bully Ray, it wasn't just done on a whim like they do with a lot of title changes. It was built to the point where, like, all right, what's going to happen? Oh, he's won. Didn't see that coming.
But don't you think by letting him have the title, that's sort of what's opened it up for guys like Matt Hardy to be able to have the title? Possibly, yeah. Because obviously Bully Ray's the same as Matt, a tag team guy, and should never really have got to that spot. But I don't know, I feel differently with Bully Ray because he's very talented at what he does. So, He is. It's far more
he's one of the
talented
better
than
heels.
Matt in that respect, as a entertainer. Matt can wrestle. One of the best matches I've ever seen him in was a Ring of Honor match against Brian Kendrick. It was a 20-minute match, but that was the first time I ever went, oh shit, Matt Hardy can actually really wrestle. But then he was in there with Brian Kendrick, so obviously that helped. But yeah.
Yeah, Kendrick probably carried him through the match, to be honest.
But he's Hardy too old for it.
He should have never have won it. It should never have happened. If anything, it should have been Drew Galloway. That's the guy they're building as their future guy, not frickin' Matt Hardy, who's been around for like last 15, 20 years. Alright, fair enough, Drew Galloway's been around a long time as well. I forget that he's actually been around for like 10, 15 years himself, but
yeah, well, he
mainstream, I'm talking about.
That's it, he played his trade over here for a long time, didn't he, before? So, the very fact that we're sitting here doing a podcast talking about it, though, does that not mean it's worked? Because I've got people to talk about it.
only because it was such a stupid move. That's not why we should be talking about it. We should be talking about it like other fans that like Matt Hardy, and going, oh yeah, Matt Hardy won the belt. Oh, that was totally unexpected. Oh, what a great champion he'll be. Oh, he's vacating it because he's going to WWE.
And is that definite? 100%. Because I've heard that Jeff Hardy's rumoured to be going global force.
Yeah, but I still think they'll end up in WWE, mate. It's not 100% confirmed, obviously, but it's stuff I've heard. It's the fact that Matt Hardy's, he done a video on YouTube talking bullshit, saying I've got to vacate the belt, while if he was going to stay around and defend it.
Yeah. Yeah, well, what is it, October? I suppose if they're going to use him for Mania, they've got to bring him in by January. They'll probably turn up in a Rumble if they're coming back.
And another thing that I heard as well, I don't know how many other people have heard this, I did tell Bert the other day, but they're planning to do Dudley's, Hardy's, Edge and Christian, WrestleMania, TLC. If this does happen, this is an extremely desperate move by WWE, bringing back the old guys, you know, guys that shouldn't really be at WrestleMania, but to a certain extent, I suppose you could say that's where they should end their career. You know, like the Hardys especially, because that's where Jeff started. Edge and Christian, that's where they basically started. You know, Dudley's, obviously, that's where they made their name, like, mainstream, like, big time made their name.
Yeah.
I suppose, in that respect, that is where they should end their career. But in terms of Edge wrestling at WrestleMania, in a TLC match, I can't see that happening because the man had a serious neck injury, like, I don't know, 4 or 5 years ago, and he had to retire, was forced to retire.
And they've had the best TLC matches they're going to have, so, you know, to come back and do one now would...
It would be a desperate move by WWE to do that.
Yeah, it wouldn't be one of their best TLC matches. You know, you'd have to be...
That ladder match at No Mercy is still one of my favourites, even over the TLC matches.
Is that Edge and Jeff for the title? So
no, Edge and Christian versus the Hardys.
Oh right, yeah. Armageddon, wasn't it?
No, it was No Mercy, weren't it?
Armageddon 99? No? I don't know.
It was a No Mercy. Pretty sure it was a No Mercy. That was fantastic. That was like the first ever tag team ladder match in WWE, and it was fantastic.
It was for the Terry Invitational Tournament, wasn't it? Terry Runnels.
Yep.
The winner got her as a manager.
Yep.
Yeah, well that's it. Well, they're never going to top that, and they've been trying to top it for years. So
they're never going to top the first TLC. I mean, that wasn't even. I don't think that was technically a TLC match, the WrestleMania match. I think that was just a ladder match, but obviously they brought tables and chairs into it.
Yeah.
So they class it as a TLC. But I'm pretty sure that was just the ladder match. The first official ladder match was on the Sun. You know, I mean, for Edge to do that, it would be really stupid. I can't see Edge doing it. Why the fuck would you risk your life for one match?
I'm sure you don't need the money.
Champion. No, he retired as the world champion. Why would you come back at WrestleMania as well?
Because they're desperate and they beg him.
anyone in their right mind would say, no, mate. Get someone else to do that stupid shit. I'm done.
Yeah,
I've been done for a while.
That's it. He's got no need to do it, has he?
No, he's got nothing to prove. He had a huge run as the Rated R Superstar, and went out on top. You know, so why come back for one spot match? If it was one wrestling match, I would kind of understand. But to come back, risk your life, your livelihood, everything, just for one match, fuck off. It'll definitely be, well, I personally believe it'll definitely be Hardys and Dudleys if they can't get Edge to do it.
Yeah, that's more realistic. But then, didn't they do like a fucking series of them in TNA?
They had loads of them matches in TNA.
Yeah. So it's like, it's been done. But I suppose there's a massive audience that didn't watch TNA. So
You got to think most of the fans that will be at WrestleMania probably never saw any of them TNA matches. Most of the people, and even people watching it on the network or whatever, you know, most of them people don't watch TNA because whatever, TNA's shit, quote unquote, whatever.
So I didn't see none of them matches. So I mean, I know they happened,
there you go.
but
yeah, that's it.
I think Dudley Boys, Hardy Boys at Royal Rumble 2000, was it? That was probably one of the best table matches.
Definitely, yeah. Very, very good match. Yeah, so are they going to top those matches, like the ladder match with Hardys and Edge and Christian, and the tables match with the Hardys and the Dudleys? How are they going to top that? And even WrestleMania 16 and SummerSlam 2000, there's no way they could outdo that.
No, there's
and
not.
It'll be, if anything, if it's Jeff Hardy taking all the bumps, and Matt obviously probably take a few bumps, it'll be them doing all the bumps. Won't be the Dudleys really. They might take a few, but
yeah, well that's it. It's gonna be Jeff bumping all over the place. Matt will, but can Matt still move? Last time I looked at him, he was really, really slow.
well, he can move. He can take bumps. He's obviously not as nimble as he used to be, but his legs really annoy me. They're weird, his legs. They don't bend properly.
I mean, it is a desperate move bringing them back, but they're just desperate in general, ain't they?
It's even Undertaker still wrestling, man. I mean, I respect the shit out of the Undertaker, but the fact that after next year's WrestleMania, he said that he will not retire, I lose respect for the man. You're in Texas, it's the biggest crowd ever for WWE. You are never ever going to top that. So why not just call it a day? I understand, you know, that it's wrestler, that it's in their blood, all the rest of it, but still, at that age, I mean, you look at Sting, what happened with Seth Rollins, you know, it's only going to take something like that and Undertaker's fucked for the rest of his life.
Yeah.
It's one bad bump, and when you're sort of 50 odd years old, with injuries, wear and tear, it only takes one bad bump, and that's it. You're either paralysed or, at the worst, dead. You know, and is it worth it? Is it worth that risk?
Well, he wants to do this last run, put Lesnar over, I suppose, make some money. And they're obviously, he's a company guy, Undertaker, he's always been a company guy, and I suppose they've asked him, said, please can you do this for us?
Yeah, like with the Brock Lesnar tour thing you're talking about.
Well, the whole series of matches he's had with him.
Yeah, alright, yeah. Yeah.
But it's the
See,
thing.
I struggle to understand, right, anybody who's been watching wrestling for as long as we have, and that's 20 plus years, who can look at that SummerSlam match and even their WrestleMania match and go, that was a good match. Especially their SummerSlam match, because that was freaking terrible. That was such a bad match from start to finish, and the end completely killed anything they done in that match.
Yeah, definitely. That finish was ridiculous. But that's a lot of why I don't watch WWE, because for the most part it's ridiculous. It's like they just treat the fans like they're complete idiots, like, cause they're like fucking 8 years old, most of their fans. They just go, well, they ain't gonna remember next week, they don't care. You know what I mean?
Or just general public fans that don't really have a clue about pro wrestling and how it should work.
Yeah. Yeah, that's it. General people just forget about it, but that's how they lose the key fan base, because the key fans have got nothing to follow that makes sense, or is, you know, like it's watching a bad film with a bad story, you know. So, well, that was a bad film. And that's what WWE's doing. Every pay-per-view they do, every Raw they do, it's essentially, well, the pay-per-views are films, the Raws and that are TV shows. But the TV shows build for the movie.
Yeah.
And then if the movie sucks, you know, it makes no sense, then it sucks, don't it?
Yeah, absolutely.
And then if you go back, like, you look at the guys on the screen now, when they was involved, the stories meant something, the titles meant something, the matches meant something, you was invested, everyone was invested. That's why the Attitude Era was probably the biggest era of all time.
Without a doubt, mate. Without a doubt. I mean, to be fair, that should be The Rock next to Shawn Michaels, but Shawn Michaels was a big part of the Attitude Era, and that's fair enough why he's there.
Shawn Michaels created the Attitude Era. There would have been no Attitude Era without Shawn Michaels. Shawn Michaels was the catalyst for the Attitude Era.
Yeah, that's true enough. And obviously Austin took that ball and then ran with it for as long as he could.
Exactly. But that's why, I mean, they try to use these guys as much as they can. You know, like WrestleMania, you had them come out, well, Shawn Michaels come out and help Dick Face in his match with Sting.
Yeah, and that's something else they've tried to do with Stone Cold. I think you told me, or we was talking about it the other day. They've tried to get Austin to wrestle for WrestleMania next year, and I'm pretty sure he's just said no, because he's a man who, by rights, should stick to his word.
Yeah.
You know, he's retired, so, you know, it's like Shawn Michaels, alright, fair enough, he's friends with Triple H and he's a company guy, so, you know, comes in, does his spot and goes home.
Doing a spot's a spot. Having a match is a different thing, but
it's like what I was saying with The Undertaker, it's running at risk of one bad bump and it's all over.
Yeah. Yeah, for all of those
it's not
guys.
worth that risk. Austin has got more than enough money. He's obviously life and happy doing what he's doing without getting back in the ring.
Yeah, they're both comfortable. They both do their own podcasts and they do their TV shows and things like that. They're happy. They ain't got to be hurting themselves anymore.
No, that's it.
Don't get me wrong. If Michaels and Austin said, right, we're going to have a match at next Mania, I'd be well interested to see that. But
Yeah, me too.
I wouldn't want to see them come out of retirement just to do it and, you know, risk fucking themselves up altogether. They've given us enough years out of their life.
I'd want to watch it. I'd be round yours watching it, without a doubt.
If they could get them to do that again, that would be a massive draw, but but you wouldn't want to see it just because.
I wouldn't want to see it because both men went out on top.
Yeah.
At top of their game. They could both do what they could do 10 years previous to when they retired. And if they came back, it would be like, can you still do this? Can you still do the kip up? You know, can you still do the switching music? Can you still do the stunner without breaking your spine? You know, just little things like that.
Point being, I think they probably could. They could. And the one thing I will say in defence of them actually doing that match a second time is the condition Michaels was in for the first one was so bad with his back that although it was a great match, it was not what it could have been. And I think they could at least go on par, if not surpass that original match if they was to do it next year.
Can't forget King of the Ring 97.
And yeah. They went to the draw, didn't it? Or count out, double count out or something.
Double DQ. I think it ended in double DQ. But that was the best match they had.
Yeah, no, that was really good. But
that was a big part of the build. It wasn't probably planned, but it was still there.
That's when they was tag partners, wasn't it?
Yeah, and that was because Sean was still the good guy, weren't he?
Yeah.
But that was a transition kind of match for Sean.
Yeah. Well, that was leading up to the SummerSlam where he hit Undertaker, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And then the formation of DX.
Yeah. King of the Ring and SummerSlam, both very important to what happens after that.
But this is all they're trying to do though now, is recapture the glory days by bringing in the glory wrestlers.
Yeah.
But they're not building anyone up, or they're not giving people the chance to be these guys, you know. And I think the other thing as well is a professional wrestler, his lifespan on the main screen now is very short. You'll get guys like CM Punk that have been doing it 10, 15 years and then they go WWE and then they do for 5 years, 10 years, you know, but it's short compared to what a lot of these other guys do. What a lot of these older guys did. Because they just stuck around. But now, most guys do 5, 10 years and that's that.
Because of the schedule. And,
yeah.
You know, it's like with obviously independence, it's like, oh, I'm injured. So obviously, and that's more the wrestler's prerogative, whether they choose to go, alright, I'm injured, but I'm going to wrestle anyway, or I'm going to take time off because I'm injured. Whereas obviously, WWE is different. It's like, well, unless you're someone like John Cena,
yeah,
you know, who's the man, basically, you know, if that guy gets injured, he needs to take time off because he's one of their big draws, you know, the kids and all the rest of it. But if it's someone like, I don't know, Kevin Owens, just for example, just a name I've popped out in my head, someone who, to the company, is not as important as John Cena is. If that man gets injured, he hasn't got much leeway.
No.
You know, he's basically, and it's the same with a lot of other wrestlers, as we know.
Yeah. Yeah, they can be in the middle of a big push, get injured, drop, they come back and they do nothing again.
Yeah. And I've said them so many times, it's ridiculous.
Like, they missed the trick with going back years now and pushing Bob Holly up a level. When he had that thing with Kurt Angle with a broken arm, he come back and then they pretty much fucked off the storyline in like a one match deal. And then the same thing again with Lesnar when he broke his neck. They went, go on, you can have a main event at the Rumble. And then that's that, and then we'll stick you in a fucking tag team again or something.
Yeah.
I'm not saying he would have been a main event draw, but he's a guy that they could have pushed higher and you know, used him in higher profile matches.
Absolutely, definitely.
But they missed the trick a lot of the time with stuff like that.
It was when he was when he became Hardcore Holly.
Hmm.
That's when when he won the Hardcore title. You know, he should have kept going and going and going, and then lost it to someone feasible, and then gone to the next level. You know, gone for the IC. They could have done it over a course of a few years.
He did go for the IC, but there was always someone else they'd rather push. China and Chris Jericho. You know?
Yeah.
And to be fair, yeah, on paper, if you put China on a poster and you put Bob Early on a poster, Bob just looks like any other guy. China, you're like, what the fuck is that? And you might be more inclined to go and pay your money to see it.
Yeah. Yeah, that's general public again, isn't it?
Yeah. Do you know, an intercontinental match with China, or an intercontinental match with Bob Early. Do you know what I mean? You think of the stuff Jericho and Bob could have done together for the title. I'm not like the world's biggest Jericho fan, but still, even Bob could have worked some stuff.
Bob can work with anybody. That's the kind of wrestler Bob is. He can have a good wrestling match with absolutely anybody, even Dickface.
Yeah. Yeah.
For anyone who's wondering who Dickface is, it's Triple H. Just to clear that up, because we've not actually said Triple H, so that's who Dickface is from now on, alright?
Yeah. So kind of going back to the original point of this guy being a champion and like giving a belt up, what have you, right? That basically is that a big part of, like, everyone knows it, everyone's been saying it for like the last 4 years, TNA's dying, like, and there's even been stuff where you've seen things, people asking questions, is TNA still on, does TNA still exist, and you've seen pictures of their crowds, and to be fair, we've drawn bigger crowds at CWA shows than TNA draw at house shows, which is ridiculous, like, for who we are. You know what I mean? Is that Matt Hardy winning the belt pretty much a signal of the end anyway? And how long do you reckon TNA's got their TV contract runs out by the end of the year? So who's gonna be their last ever champion?
I don't know, mate. And in some ways I don't care, and I haven't cared for a long time, because they let very talented wrestlers leave the company because they couldn't come to terms with a contract deal. People like AJ Styles, Christopher Daniels, because they're in three of the best, not just in TNA, but the world. In my honest opinion, they are three of the best.
Yeah, they're all very, very good.
And to let that talent go just because you can't pay them what you did originally, because you're paying Jeff Hardy and Matt Hardy more money because they're WWE guys, is bullshit.
Yeah, 100%. 100%. They missed the boat with Jay Lethal. That guy was a solid main event guy.
Mate, yeah, absolutely. Quality wrestler.
But they killed what was working for him. The Black Machismo thing.
Yeah.
They killed that. Like, yeah, he did need to develop his own personality, his own character, but they should have let it grow rather than just cutting it off and going, right, now BJ Lethal. He's like, I don't know how to do that.
Yeah.
You know? And he lost a lot of his personality, you know?
Yeah, definitely. Definitely.
He's one of them guys, I think he's one of the guys that should have been a top guy and should be much higher in the world than he is right now. He's good, he's still doing alright, he gets booked on a lot of indies and stuff like that, but he's one of them guys didn't get what he should have got.
You could just imagine the matches he could have had with people like Austin Aries,
Yeah,
AJ Styles, you know, and Christopher Daniels and Kazarian. All of their matches would have been quality, and there's others as well. But you know, it's such a wasted opportunity. They've done that a lot though, TNA. They've done that a hell of a lot with a lot of talented wrestlers. People like Stevie Richards.
yeah,
You know, a man who has bucket loads of charisma, energy, passion, loves what he does, cares about what he does, puts absolutely everything into what he does as a living. And, you know, for like, it was months, I think it was, he wasn't getting booked, and they kept promising him this, like, oh, you'll get booked, you'll do this, you'll do that, oh, you can, like basically, like what Bob Hurley used to do, you know, just go in there, have a good match and put the other guy over. And
yeah,
Stevie was happy to do that. You know, he just wanted to be on telly, working, having a wrestling match. He didn't care whether he won or lost. But WWE missed the fucking boat with him as well
yeah.
when
They
he was
did.
in the RTC. That was the faction that made me respect Stevie Richards. Like, that was the first person who I didn't like, but then I grew to respect. And obviously through respect comes a like and even a love.
Yeah, that RTC could have been
Because you
huge.
Yeah, absolutely. It could have been as big as NWO.
Yeah. All they needed to do was put a world champion in there.
Yeah, absolutely.
That would, you know, like, can you imagine if, like, fucking Austin had joined it?
Oh man, that would have been amazing. Him changing from like the rebel rattlesnake, I don't give a fuck, to, you right sir, or you know, whatever,
Yeah.
just like the RTC way of life.
Yeah.
That would have been massive. That would have been amazing because no one would have saw it coming.
No. He would have been sick because he would have been Stevie's lackey type thing for
Yeah.
ages, and people would have been, this is ridiculous, Stone Cold Steve Austin, Stevie Richards lackey, like, this is fucking ridiculous, like. But then obviously eventually it builds to the point where Stone Cold will go, what the fuck am I doing? Like, screw you, and he goes back to being Stone Cold, and you've got a massive Stevie versus Stone Cold match, which they could have had a blinder.
Absolutely, mate. Not only would it have been a really good wrestling match, but both, you know, that contrast of gimmicks, characters, you know, the straight-laced, you know, I'm good, I'm going to censor everything that's bad, versus the rebel that doesn't give a shit about anything, just wants to go in there and beat the crap out of you.
Yeah, well, it was
Just
polar
worked
opposites.
so well.
It was
Yeah.
the king of the Attitude Era versus the guy that could have been the ultimate villain. And in a lot of ways, the RTC did end the Attitude Era, which is what WWE were trying to accomplish. Like, the RTC originally was a piss take of the PTC, like the Parents Television Council. But effectively, it's what WWE wanted to do, was to become PG-14, or just PG products, and RTC in a lot of ways helped that transition by doing a lot of the stuff they did.
It was a big part of that, and people don't give them enough credit for that part of things. I don't think people really realise as well that it's because of that angle that really pushed it forward to become PG.
Yeah. Yeah.
So obviously people haven't been watching it for as long as we have. People, you know, if they've only been watching it for the last 10 years, they would have missed all the RTC stuff. You know, or people that have only been watching it since it became PG because of, you know, whatever, blood and tits and all the rest of it.
Political correctness and money,
Yeah.
because kids spend more money than adults and teenagers. Well, the kids don't, their parents do, but you know.
Yeah.
That's where the money is, and that's, at the end of the day, mate, that's what it's all about.
Yeah, of course. In terms of making money, making more money, it makes sense. You know, I'm not going to deny it, but it's still all the other bullshit that's hard to take, you know, with crap endings to matches.
Yeah.
Stuff like that. That's the bit I struggle with, personally. I don't mind it being PG-13. I don't care if I don't see blood or tits or anything like that. It doesn't bother me at all.
Yeah.
But it's the match, the product.
Yeah. And it goes back to what I was saying about treating people like idiots, and that's why that's a big part of why people like you and me and older fans can't really watch it.
Yeah. Absolutely.
That, and the wrestlers aren't given the freedom to have the matches they could have, you know. It's you get them classics like Bret Hart and Mr. Perfect and that, you know, and that was two guys going, right, this is a match we've put together. Now you've got people telling them this is how the match is going to be from start to finish, sort of thing, you know.
Yeah.
For the most part.
It's very much restricted in terms of a wrestler having freedom to go out there and do their own thing.
And also with the characters, everything's scripted, everything's a created character. They're in a TV show, and that's the difference. Wrestlers of old created themselves. They created their own character, their own words. That's why you had guys like Roddy Piper and Jake the Snake, and you'll never get guys like that again unless they let them do it. Well, it's been an interesting podcast, and it's only our second one out. We'll see how they go in the future. But if anyone wants to leave any comments, we will reply to them in the next podcast. And we will be talking about random subjects. They're always going to be random. It could be games, it could be wrestling, it could be movies, could be music, could be culture, science, who knows what. Just come back, because we will be talking about it on PSDovito.
You send